keeping the connections on your batteries clean is really important. Today, I'm going to show you how to clean and maintain those battery connections. Before you begin cleaning your batteries, you need to make sure that you've disconnected them. You don't want sparks flying when you're dealing with these batteries. There's lots of amps here, and this stuff can hurt you or start a fire. Make sure that you have disconnected your batteries safely at your battery disconnect switch before you do this. You'll need to have a few tools on hand to do this cleaning job properly. Now I'm going to use an angle grinder if I find that I have corrosion, because I've got one. If you don't have one, you can use a piece of sandpaper or a piece of this red scrubby. It's just like the green stuff you use on your dishes, but it's a little more abrasive, and you can pick it up at an auto parts store. Next, you want to disconnect all the connections on your battery. Just take them off completely. Just going to use a wrench here. Now for taking these off, it's okay to use a power tool. You're just removing them. When you go to put them back on, I don't recommend that. If you damage one of these studs, you just bought a whole battery, and that can get expensive. So take all these nuts off, and you'll see that sometimes they get a little stuck taking these cables off. I've got washers on these as well. So take off your washers and your nuts and the cables from all of your connections. Then remove the cables from the batteries so that you can clean them separately from the batteries themselves. Once you've got all the cables off of your batteries, you want to clean them up. And if you look here at this, you can see that there's some corrosion and rust and just general gunk on these connectors. And any corrosion will cause a loss in voltage and resistance and heat, and that's just power that you're losing. So you want to make sure that these are nice and clean. Also, you want to make sure that the terminals on your battery are nice and clean. You can see here that there's a little bit of corrosion on these as well. Now these have been fairly recently cleaned, so it's not horrible, but you want to make sure that they get nice and shiny. Another thing you're going to want to have on hand is some dielectric grease. Now I've got this in a bag because I lost the lid a long time ago, and it's a mess if you don't anyway. But you can use just regular petroleum jelly if you need to. I've got this for automotive stuff, so I'll just use it. So when you're cleaning these, I'm just going to show you here first with this little scrubby, and just kind of go to town cleaning that off. Now you want to make sure you get this back to shiny metal, and with these scrubbies or sandpaper it can take a little while, which is why I'm going to use an angle grinder with a wire wheel attachment. Now these wires can break off when it's in use, so make sure you wear safety glasses, because getting one of them little wires in your eye can ruin your day, your month, your year, your life. Make sure you wear safety glasses when you're using an angle grinder at all times. You can see here that I've got these back to a nice shiny metal, and that's what you want. You want to make a good connection between here and the terminals on your battery. Now, I don't recommend that you use an angle grinder on here. These terminals are made of lead, and it will just scrub those away in no time. Now this post here, that's steel, but it's embedded in lead, so you really don't want to use anything super abrasive on that surface, because that could be bad for your batteries in the long term. So what I've got here is your typical battery cleaning brush. You can pick these up in automotive stores. Get in here and scrub these off real good. You want to try to get any corrosion that you see off of here, because again, the shiny metal will give you a good physical connection for your batteries. So just scrub these off where the cables go. Make sure you get some nice shiny metal. You can use sandpaper or the scrubby here as well. Okay, and we'll scrub this one off. You can see some of that white crud coming off of there from the corrosion. So just make sure you scrub these off real good. Once you've got them scrubbed off and you've scrubbed off all your batteries, you want to make sure you clean up your washers and your nuts. As you look here, you can see some of this corrosion and junk that's on these and these. Now, using stainless steel here is a good way to help reduce that corrosion. Only half of my batteries have stainless steel nuts on them, and I need to replace those. So just one day, take one of the nuts with you to the hardware store when you can afford to have your battery bank disconnected, and pick up new washers and new nuts that are stainless steel, because it'll make your cleaning go a lot faster. So just make sure, just like you did before, scrub these off. If you can get them down to nice shiny metal, the better. And make sure you do this with every single connection on your battery bank. One of these having a bad connection can cause resistance and cause you to lose power. Not as in your power goes out, but you're wasting power in the form of resistance and heat. Once you've got these all cleaned up, your battery terminals all cleaned up, and your battery cables all cleaned up and nice and shiny, then it's time to put your battery bank back together. You want to get out your dielectric or your petroleum jelly, and in my case this is kind of a messy proposition, but just get a little bit on your finger here, just a little bit. It just needs a gentle coating, and put it onto the battery terminals here, right where your battery cables are going to lie. Just like that. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to slop it on there. You don't need just absolute tons of it. What you're trying to do is create a barrier for oxygen, so that oxygen can't get in here and cause the corrosion. You're going to put it on every single part that touches the cable and the nut and the post. You just want to make sure that these have plenty of this stuff on here. You don't need to go overboard with it. Just make sure it's got a good coat. Just kind of smear it on there. You just smear it on there. Okay? Then put your cable back on your battery, just like that. Then grab your washers and your nuts, lube them up too. And then put the nuts back on. Now when you tighten these with your wrench, don't go 800-pound gorilla on them. You will regret that in the long term if you do. So just make sure that you tighten them down till they're snug. And redo all your battery connections just like this. And this is something you should do just every couple of months or so. You can see here, I'm just kind of putting them on here just as tight as I can with my wrist on the top of the ratchet. You don't come way out here and rank on them, because you'll tear them up, and then you'll wind up having to buy a battery just because you tighten the nut too much. So once you've done that and everything's got a nice coating of the dielectric or petroleum jelly, you can reconnect your battery bank and you're good to go. Hey, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it so other people can find out what we're doing here. Also, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe. You'll get more great videos just like this one. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and at our blog at blog.theratracelosers.com. And as always, thanks for watching.